ES6 and some of the ES6 syntax. So I'll create a file, a separate file for that. I'll just call it ES6.html. So at ES6, we're going to be doing those things we've been doing, but just that you're going to be doing them in another way with another syntax. So under ES6, you are not learning new things. I mean new logic, let me put it like that. You are not learning new logic. You are mainly learning new syntax. New syntax to do what you already know how to do. Right. So it's more of syntax than logic. Maybe you can learn one or two logic, but primarily ES6 is about doing things with lesser codes. You are writing less to do more. Writing lesser codes to do more things. And whenever you need to do new things now, new logic, I will tell you that when we get there. But most times, most of those things you'll be doing in ES6 will be doing those things you're already doing or you already know how to do, just that you are doing it in another way or with lesser codes. So let's start with some of those things. Create variable. Well, we've been using let. Let is part of ES6. Now in ES5 it was var, but var has been duplicated. It has been removed. With ES6 we are giving let and const to declare variables. So let's discuss why these two are important. What's the work of let? What's the work of const? How are they different from var? When do you use let? When do you use const? Now, one key difference between var and let. Let me first differentiate between var and let. If you have a variable like this, a is 6. You are welcome to class. Okay, so I want to look at the difference between var and let. If you have a is 6 and you have a equals to 5 and you say alert a. Okay, I think there's a message from me. You are welcome. You're welcome. So if I say alert a, this is going to alert 5. So whether you use let or var, you get the same result. But the difference between the two of them is that if you are using var a equals to 6, you can still come here and say var a equals 5. You can do this thing again. Now what this is going to do is that when it gets to line 12, it will create a container for you. Var means create a container. Var means create a container. You are welcome to class. Var means create a container. It creates a container here. It will insert 6 inside that container. Here, it creates another container here. It will insert 5 inside that. So now that means you have 2 containers. This is creating a container here. Is inserting 6 inside it. This is creating a container here. Is inserting 5 inside it. So that means we have 2 containers. When you say alert a, it will alert the most recent one, which is 5. And the implication of that is that this first container is now useless. That is, it's not doing anything. Do we get it?
Yes, sir. I'm getting it.
Alright. Thank you so much. So var a equals to 6 is create a container here, insert 6. Var a equals to 5 is create another container, insert 5 inside it. When you say alert a, it is going to alert the most recent one, which is 5. Now, that is totally different from this one. You are welcome to class.
Off.
Now, that is totally different from this one. In this case, var means create a container. It's going to create a container here. It will insert 6 inside it. This a, it will refer to the already created container. It will refer to this same container and change the content of the container to 5. So it is still the same container, just that you are changing what is inside it to 5. When you say alert A, you are alerting the content of that same container, which is 5. So this only has one container, just that we changed the content of that single container from 6 to 5. Still the same container, but different content. Now, when you say alert A, this is going to alert 5. So even though the two codes will give you the same results, they do not work the same way. Here we have 2 containers. Here we have 1 container. For just that we change the content. Now, instead of using, if you are using var, that means this is redundant. This is not doing anything because you've created another container with that same name. Now, this is a bug, or should I say, yeah, it is not appropriate, right? So that problem was solved with let. When you're using let, you cannot create another container with that same name. You cannot. If I've used let to create a container A equals to 6, I cannot recreate that container because that makes this first one redundant and useless. So this is not possible. The only thing is I can change the content of that first container, but not to create a new container with that same name. Do we get the difference between let and var?
Yes, sir.
Alright, thank you. Now, I can have a global variable with a name and a local variable with the same name. That is allowed. That means if I have a function like this, I can come here and say let b equals to something. Then I can, inside this function, I can have a local variable with that same name. That is allowed. That is what is not allowed is that I cannot have another global variable called b. I cannot. And I cannot have another local variable inside. Where is the noise coming from? Okay. So what I cannot do is that I cannot have another local variable called b, and I cannot have another global variable called b also. But a global variable can have a name with a local variable. It is allowed. It is allowed. Any question before we proceed? Alright, let's move on. You are welcome to class. You're welcome. So we've looked at the difference between var and let. Let's look at the difference between const and let. Const works like let in the sense that once you use const a equals to something, you cannot use const a again to declare another variable. You cannot create another container with that same name. But it doesn't end there. When you are dealing with const, you can't even change the value of that container. Meaning that I can't even do this with const. This is going to throw an error. I've already set, const means constant. I've already set the content of this container to be 6. I cannot change the content of that container to be something else. If I run this code, it's going to throw an error. Let's alert it. Let me turn the browser. And it's not alerting anything. When you check your console, you have an error, assignment to constant variable at line 13. So this line is the one causing the error. You cannot change the content of the constants. That makes it different from let. For let, you can change the content. For const, you cannot. Now, sometimes the difference between var and let can be made obvious in the loop. But I've talked about one key difference being that you cannot change the content. Another key difference is that a var, it is function scoped, while let is block scoped. I come again. A var is function scoped, why let is block scoped. Let's explain the difference between function scoped and block scoped. When you say something is function scoped, is that a function defines the scope, defines the arena of a variable. When you are using var, it means that where you can use that variable is defined by the function in which it is created. What I mean is this. Let's example will make it clearer. If I have this like this, variable a equals to c, this is a global variable. You can use it anywhere. If you have a function like this, and you have another variable, this b, it can be used anywhere within this function. And when I say anywhere, I mean anywhere within the function. Anywhere, because var is function scoped. Now, if I have this c can be used anywhere within this function again, because vars are function scoped. Once you create a var inside a variable with var inside the function, you can use it anywhere within that function. That means I can come outside of this function and say alert c, and it will still alert c. It is going to alert c because I'm still within the same function. What I cannot do is that I cannot use it outside the function. But as long as I'm within the function, that variable is it can be used within that function. Do we get the explanation?
Yes, sir.
Alright. Thank you so much. You are welcome to class. So it can be used anywhere within that function. That is for var. But when you are dealing with let is not function scoped, it is block scoped. When we say something is block scoped, look at it. A block can be defined, or the simple way to understand a block is that a block can be defined by its enclosing curly braces. This is what I mean. I'll change this to let. The curly braces of this let is this here. That is directly inside this my func. So that is the block of this b. I come again. This let b equals to this variable b is directly inside this function. Because it is directly inside the function, that means I can use it anywhere inside this function. That's fine. Now look at this c. This c, a block is defined by its enclosing curly braces. So the enclosing curly braces of this c is this if. That means I can only use c inside this if. If I come out here and say alert c, it will not work. It will throw an error. Do you get the difference? Hello? Kisley Babalala Sherifat.
Yes, sir.
Do we get the explanation?
You understand?
Okay.
Please come again.
Okay. Now, when you're dealing with let is block scoped. And the question is, what is a block? A block, I said the easiest way to understand the block is just pick that variable and ask it that, what is its enclosing curly braces? The enclosing curly braces of this C is this if. Alright, that's the enclosing curly braces of it. That means that is the block of this C. This C can be used anywhere within the block, within this if block. But it cannot be used outside of that if block. That means it cannot be used on line 18. Line 18 is already outside of this if block, so I cannot use it outside. Now look at this B. The enclosing curly braces of this B is this function. That means this B can be used anywhere within this function, but not outside of the function. So just ask yourself, where is it created? Look at the enclosing curly braces. Now another example is this. Let's look at a for loop. if I come here and say let a equals to 6, I cannot use this a outside of this loop. I cannot. But if this were to be var, I can use it outside. I can come here and say alert a and it will still work. It will work. Because var only deals with functions. Since I'm not inside the function, so this var can be used anywhere in my code. Anywhere in my code. Do you get it? Var is function scoped. If it's inside a function, it can be used anywhere within that function. While let is block scope. Just ask it, what's this enclosing curly braces? This is the enclosing curly braces of A. This is the enclosing curly braces of A. So I can only use this A within this for loop, not outside of the for loop. But if this were to be var, I can use it anywhere, even outside of it. Do you understand this?
Yes, I get it now.
Let's look at this part. This part will look interesting. Let's say a6. Index is 6. In fact, I will not put anything here. What do you think this now will give us? Hello?
6.
Okay, 6. Thank you so much. You are right. 6. Var is 0. Is 0 less than 6? Yes. It will do whatever we have here. When it's done, index plus plus index becomes 1.
You want
Index becomes 1. Is 1 less than 6? Yes. It will do whatever we have here. Index plus plus index becomes 2. Is 2 less than 6? Yes. It will do whatever we have here. Index plus plus index becomes 3. Is 3 less than 6? Yes. It will do whatever we have here. Index plus plus index becomes 4. Is 4 less than 6? Yes. It will do whatever we have here. Index plus plus index becomes 5. Is 5 less than 6? Yes. It will do whatever we have here. Index plus plus index becomes 6. Is 6 less than 6? No. But remember, index is now 6. Is 6 less than 6? No. So it's going to stop this loop and run the code outside of it. So it's going to alert index, which is 6. So that's why you see 6. That's why we have this 6 here. But if this were to be let, this is going to throw an error for us. This line will throw an error because you cannot use it outside this place. So that's why we have this index is not defined. Any question on var and let? Shall we proceed?
yes.
Okay. Babalola, is this still there? Emmanuel.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Proceed.
Diamond.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening. Good. Do you understand what you are doing?
Not really, but I'm trying because I joined late. I just joined up alone, but I'm trying to like catch up.
Now this class has been on for months. It's been on for months. A new one will be starting by July, 4th of July. 4th of July. So this is for front end, what you are doing, but that new one is for back end. So if I'll send the playlists, the videos we've had in the past, I'll send that to the group so you can watch that. You will also see today's class there. You can watch that and catch up with that. If not, we'll start the back end by July, and you don't even need to have knowledge of programming also. to join that, we start from the scratch. So if we have issues with one or two parts of this, it may be because we've started for a while, for months, so we are rounding off already. In 2-3 weeks time, we should be done with this. We should be done with this. Okay. Alright. So we looked at the difference between var and let. We want to look at some other things. So under ES6, we looked at variable declaration now. Variable declaration. So in ES6, we don't use var at all. And even when you are writing ES5 codes, please don't use var. Var has been deprecated. Use let, use const. Use let, use const. Oh, one more thing. Sometimes you want to do something like this. Come in. You want to do and you want to use this B outside of this if block. Sometimes you want to. How do you solve that problem? I remember I told you that you cannot use this B outside of this block. So what you can do is that you can come here and say let's B. Then you remove this from this place. Let's B. The major thing here is this let. This is where this B is created. That means you can use this B anywhere within this function because the block of B now is the function. You can use it anywhere within the function. So you can come here and say let's B. So you can use it inside this if because this if itself is still within the function my fun. So let's B. You can now change the value of B to 12, then come out here and say alert B. That will work fine. So what you just did is you change the scope. Initially B was here. You change the scope of B from here to this place. So B now becomes available anywhere inside this function. So inside this place, you change the content of B to 12. So you can now say alert B. This is going to alert 12. Do we get that part?
Yes.
Alright, thank you. So that is for variable declaration. Let's look at some other things. Destructuring. Destructuring is one of those things I love about ES6. Destructuring. When you destructure something, you are taking part of it out. You're taking part of it out. So let's say I have an array. You can destructure an array. You can destructure an object. So if I have an array that looks like this. 8, 9, 10. And I want to assign this first value here to a variable. In EX5, I can say variable first equals to AR index 0. This will pick the first value here and assign it to first. If I want to assign the second value, I can create variable second equals to AR index 1. It will pick the second value here and assign it to second. But like I said, ES6 is lesser code, more work. You want to see how we can do the same thing in ES6, but now writing lesser codes. So what you're going to do is this. You come here, select. This is an array. Because you want to destructure an array, this is going to be square braces. I come again. The reason you are putting square braces here is because this is an array. If this were to be an object, this would be curly braces. So you come inside this place and put your variable first, second, equals to AR. So what you are saying is that go to AR, pick the first value there and assign it to first. Then pick the second value there and assign it to second. So when you say console log first, you will see 8. When you say console log second, you will see 9. So this is shorter code, more things. That's why we have this 8 and 9 here. Any question? Now you may ask that, what if you want to assign this 10 to a variable without assigning 9? Because the other matters. If this first is not there, it will pick the first value here and assign it to second. It will pick the first value inside this place and assign it to second. So it will pick 8 and assign it to second. So when you say console log second, that will give you 8. That's why we have this 8. So the other matters. What if I only want to assign you are welcome to class. Okay. So what if I only want to assign the last value here, not these two? And remember, the other matters. So what I will do is this. If I want this second to be the last value here, you will come here and put a comma. Then you put another comma. Oftentimes, you usually put some space so that it becomes readable, but the space does not matter. What I'm saying is that I know a value is there, but I'm not interested in that value. I know another value is there, I'm not interested in that value. Now go to the third value. So to pick this and assign it to second. Then console log second. That's going to add console log 10. That's why we have this thing here. So there's a value here, I'm not interested in it. There's another value here, I'm not interested in it. Pick the third value inside this place. So to assign it to second. Any question on that? So this is array destructuring. Let's look at object destructuring. If you want to destructure an object, that is, you want to pick part of an object and assign it to a variable. Let's say obj looks like this. Name is John. Let's say country is Nigeria. Let's stop it. Name is John, country is Nigeria. Now with ES5, if I want to assign a variable, let's say I want to get a variable name and I want it to be this John, I'll say let name equals to obj dot name, and I can say alert name. That's going to alert John. That's how we have this John. This is ES5. ES6 is simpler. ES6, what you're going to do is this. You come here and say let. Because what we want to destructure is an object, what do we use? Hello? 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 Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you. Yes.
I'm asking a question that because I want to destructure an object, what am I to do here? What am
You want to destructure an object.
Yes, what am I going
You
to
just
do?
put the name and the key name there.
Okay.
Let's call it
Curly braces. Thank you. That's major.
curly braces, key name, yes.
Yes. Curly braces.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Curly braces. If it's an array, you use curly braces. But because this is an object, you make use of curly braces. So the key you want to destructure. So what it's going to do is that if you come here, pull out name and assign it to this name. So if I say our last name, it is going to alert John. That's how I alert John. Now, unlike an array, array uses index, position. Right? Index is a big deal in array. But when you are dealing with objects, an object is a key value pair. A key with its corresponding value. A key with its corresponding value. So an object is a key value pair. Object makes use of key, not position. That means if I come here and I put country here, it will pull out country from this place, not name. You know, for array, the other matters, I said the first go is to pick the first item here and assign it to this. But for an object, it does not use order. It uses key. So it will come here, pull out country, and assign it to this country. So when I say alert country, that's going to alert Nigeria. Let's close this first. That's why we have Nigeria here. But this is causing a little problem. Look at the problem. Let's go back to ES5 and do something together. In ES5, I may choose not to use name here. I can call it anything of my choice. I can call it info. Let info equals to obj.name. So I can come here and say info. And this is going to alert John. Let me first close this alert that is disturbing us. Then we'll refresh the page. John. That's working fine. In ES6, how do we choose to use another name aside from the key? What I'm saying is this. Now, this here, if I want this to be info, if I put info here, let's first close this, that is this alert incoming. Now, if I put info here, it will check inside this place, look for info, but there is no key here called info. So if I say alert info, it is going to give you undefined because there is no key inside obj called info. That's why you have this undefined. It's telling me that I've searched through obj, but I can't find any key with info. So how do we now do this exact thing in ES6? What you're going to do is this. You can do this. What you are saying is that pull out name and assign it to info, then alert info. If you go to obj, pull out the name inside it, assign it to info, then to alert info. Sorry. Oh, I missed it up. Like this. So to pull out name, it's assign it to info, then to alert info. That's why we have John. Yeah. So in case you want to use another key different from what you have inside this place, this is how you do it in ES6. Any question? So this is called objects destructuring. Objects destructuring. Okay. I have a question for us. Oops. I'm calling on this function by func. I'm passing, let's say, inside this function, I'm only interested in Kisley. I come again. Inside this function, you know, this array will be sent as an argument to the function, my func. You are welcome to class. So this array will be sent as an argument to my func. But inside this function, I'm only interested in Kisley, not the whole array. What am I to do? Based on what we've learned, you are sending this whole array as an argument to my func. And of course, you're going to receive it here as an argument. Now, how do you now pull out Kisley alone? Not everything. I'm not interested in all the names there. What am I to do?
put my func and the value, the index value. That's one.
What do I like? Tell me where to edit. Tell me what to do.
Okay, you put my func,
Okay.
then open bracket.
Okay.
You put square braces.
Okay.
Not there, not there.
Okay. Where?
Not there, not there. That is under
You're welcome to class.
under my phone.
Okay. And we
Yes,
just
my phone. Then you now put open brackets, square braces.
okay.
Then you put the index there, which is 1.
Like this. Okay, so let's get it. Is that all? I want to alert this casely inside this function. Let's run the codes. Let's see. Thanks for the attention. Any other suggestion? Who can help us? You can help us. I'm only interested in. I want to alert this casely inside this function.
Func. You put my func inside the alert.
I'll put my func like this. Like this.
Yes.
No. Even if this works, I want to alert it inside this function. That is when I call on this function. That is when I want to alert. Do you get it, task? Hello, sir.
Yes, I can hear you.
You were saying something.
No, right on. I can hear you. I can hear you.
Sharifat Emmanuel. Help us.
What's the question again, sir?
I want to alert Kisley inside this function. I'm only interested in this name Kisley within this function, and I want to alert just Kisley inside this function.
Okay. You can use like you not pass the parameter.
Okay. Okay. I should pass a parameter here.
Let's say name.
Okay. Name like this. Okay. Names like this. Okay.
Yes, sir. Then alert name at index 1.
Good. Names at index 1. This solves our problem. This solves our. Thank you, sir. This solves our problem. Good. But this is the ES5 approach. If you want to do the same thing in ES6, because here you are passing this whole list, this whole array as the value of names. So this whole array will be sent here. Right. Only that, of course, inside this you are picking the one you need. I'm only interested in index 1. But the index 0 is there, just that I'm not using it. Index 2 is there, I'm not using it. Right. If you are doing the same thing with ES6, we can use destructuring, the array destructuring that we looked at. Because this, let's move this part. Because this is an array, we'll come inside this place and put square braces like this. Then, I'm not interested in the first value, so I'll put a comma. I'm interested in the second value. I can call it anything. I can call it name. I can just call it anything of my choice. Right. I can call it name. So name will stand for the for the second value inside this array. So if I come here and say alert name, that is going to give me Kisley. Let's refresh the page. That's why we have this Kisley. This is how we make use of array destruction. You put a square braces here because you want to destruction array. So the first value here goes to the first value here. The second value here goes to the second value here. then you can now use that value. Any question?
So how about let's say you want to get that of Serifat.
So I'm assigning, there's a value here, I'm not interested in this. I'm assigning this to caseless to name. There's a value here, I'm not interested in it. Then I'm assigning Sherifat to second name. So if I come here and I say second name, that's going to give us Sherifat. Let's refresh the page. That's how we have Sherifat. Any question?
You keep doing it like that, even if you have multiple names.
No, now we make use of this if you are not interested in all the values, depending on your need. If you just need one of them, there's no point sending all of them to this. But if you need maybe all of them at different points, then it's better to just send it like this. So all of them is inside these names. So this is all of them. You can later, if you need anyone, you can now pull out the one you need, index 0, index 1, index 2. But if you know that inside this function you only use just one of them, then there is no point sending all of them. You just come here, destructure the one you need out of that. So this is going to pull Emmanuel as this. And if I'm interested in diamond, I'll say hey. So this becomes this. That's the way it works. If I'm interested in Kesley, I can put B here. This becomes this. Then this becomes this. Then maybe D. Then this becomes this. Any question? Another classwork. Here is an object. This object has a name. It has a school. It has a department. Now, inside this place, inside this function, I'm only interested in this department. What am I to do?
We are going to put curly braces the department.
Good, thank you. That's all.
Then we are lacking the department.
Yes, thank you. So that's going to give us BCH. Let's refresh. BCH. So now we understand array destructuring and objects destructuring. So I think our time is fast spent. I was thinking I would get to spread and rest operator today, but I don't think we'll be able to. Spread operator, rest operator. Should we look at one of them? The next class will continue from there. Should we stop here or we look at either spread or rest? Should we stop here or we look at one of them?
Yes, sir, I have a question.
Okay, sir.
Like, instead of passing the parameter, like, can we use argument keyword?
Oh, ax. Yes, you can use ax also. Ax we send it will pass everything to this place. Ax will.
Okay, sir.
Now, should we use I'm asking now, should we look at rest and spread today, like one of them, or should we stop here today?
Start with today.
Is that?
You can start with rest all today.
Okay, let's look at one of them. Rest and spread. Rest operator. You know, when you destructure means you are removing part of something, right, and assign it to a variable. After you've removed part of it, what you have left is rest, like the rest, like remainder, the remaining, what remains after part of it has been removed. That is what rest operator is about, the rest. So let's say I have an array that looks like this. And I destructure this. You know, it's going to pick the first value here and assign it to B. What do we have left? 8 and 9, right? This 8 and 9 is known as rest, the remainder. Do we understand it? Do we get it? Do we get my explanation? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Any question on that part? We've destructured, we pick the first value here, we assign it to B. Then what we have left is rest, the rest. Now, if I'm interested in what I have left, then I have a question. If I put C here, what will be the value of C?
Eight.
8, good. 8, good. But instead of putting C, I will see C. This is the syntax for rest. That is, other things left, assign them to C. Remove B. Whatever you have left, then assign it to C. I come again. We've destructured B out. C means that other things left, assign them to C. That is the rest, give them to C. So if I say console log C, you see 8 and 9 there. Okay, meeting is in 15 minutes time. Okay. You have 8 and 9. If there are more items there, what you value of C will be 8, 9, 20. That is what you have left, the rest. 8, 9, 20. So this C is not even what you call it C, right? It can be any name. But after you destructured, after you remove part of it, what I have left will be destructured. That will be the rest. If I remove 2 items, let's say K. The first item will be 7, B will be 7. The second item will be K. K will be 8. What do you have left? 9 and 20. That will be the value of C. So C will be 9 and 20. And this C must be the last syntax here. It cannot be in the middle. You cannot use rest in the middle. It must be the last thing here, meaning that I cannot come here now and say K. This is not permitted to. You are not permitted to do this. So it must be the last item. Yeah. First goes to the first, second goes to the second. Every other thing that has not been picked will be C. Any question on that part? In fact, if you assign everything to something, C will just be an empty array because the first goes to the first, second goes to the second, third goes to the third, fourth goes to the first. There is nothing left, so C will just be an empty array. That's why we have this empty array. So rest means what you have left after destructuring. This is for array. Let's look at objects. Like I said, ES6, you are not really learning logic, you are just learning syntax. How to do what you already know how to do it. Like how to do it in another way. Like you are doing what you already know how to do in another way. In a shorter way now. In a shorter way. Name is, let's say, Peter. Let's say, scroll is, let's say UI. department is let's say A and B. Again, you first destructure. What you have left will be rest. I can destructure name out. Then everything I have left, dot dot dot. Everything I have left to be inside this rest. There's no must call it rest. Any variable name of your choice. So console log rest. So rest we have school and department on it. School and department. If I destructure school out, rest we have name and department on it. Remember, an object makes use of the key. So rest we have, if you destructure school, so you have name and departments left. Name and departments. Any question on that part? So we are stopping yesterday. Let me be the first to hear this. We are coming up with a program, a front-end web design game. It's going to be a game. And the winner is going to win 100,000 naira. The show is coming up soon. You can participate if you are interested. It's going to be an interesting game. So if the modalities will be communicated to us at the right time. So we are working on a program, and so that you can test your front-end skill and get better at it. It's just a game, alright? Okay. So when the time comes, build your portfolio. We'll check your portfolio before the program. Check your portfolio, then we select people and we play games together. Well, thank you so much. Thanks for coming. Good night to us.